All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're just gonna make sure that we're live before we jump right into this. So let's give it a second here. Give you a few seconds. Oh, now we are live and direct in the group. Okay. So after about 30 minutes of technical difficulty, we'll jump right into it. So I want to do really quick something on how to get more consistent eyes on your business for free. And I brought along a good friend of mine, Richard Collier. Just give you a kind of an introduction who Richard is and what he does is he is a what we call a traffic expert. So he specializes in how to get more visitors, more eyes, more views on your content online. Okay. Now, he works with speakers and authors and coaches on how to help scale their business, how to give them a system to where they can get a certain amount of views and looks per month on their business, get more clients, get more customers. So I wanted to bring him on and give you guys another perspective on kind of the importance of a few things. One of those things being creating an audience, the importance of content, but then also some strategies and how to get things out there to get people interested, get them to your website and things of that nature. So I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself, Rich.
Hey, how's it going today, guys? As Steve said, my name is Richard Collier, and I'm an audience building expert. And the reason I chose this focus of audience building is because I realized over time, as more and more Facebook courses are being sold, more and more Google advertisement courses are being sold, there are going to be a lot of advertisers out there, and supply and demand is going to create so much demand that the prices of advertisement will definitely go up. So you definitely want to know who you're advertising to, and you want to get your advertising right the first time. That's why for 2020, I will be focusing on organic traffic. It's not that I'm not going to run ads, but I'm going to run ads to content. And the reason being is because I need to filter out who's interested and who's not interested. And if you don't know that and you're running a lot of traffic, you're running a lot of ads to people who don't really care about your products or service, you're going to find out that you're wasting a ton of money trying to get people to care about what they simply just don't care about, because
Exactly.
there's so much noise in the market right now. I was telling Steve earlier, this is kind of like the stock market, where we watch the prices and we see what the NASDAQ is doing, whether or not if it's up or down. And making the wrong investments at the wrong time in the stock market is like losing a bunch of money. It's the same thing with marketing online. If you're putting your money in to the wrong place at the wrong time, you're going to lose. It's like really as simple as that. Like, you're definitely going to lose if you don't know where your money should be going. So that's why it's important, especially in 2020, to start focusing on your organic traffic strategies. If you don't have organic traffic, you will sink in the boat of marketers that are fighting for a space for people who they don't know and people who don't know them.
So let me
You know,
ask you this, Rich. Why is it important to have content for different traffic purposes? Why is
well,
that important?
it's important, Stephen. That's a great question. I get a lot of that from my clients because they kind of look at me crazy when I say, when they have products and services and they're like, hey, what are we going to advertise? And I'm like, oh, well, we're going to advertise your content. And they're like, content? Well, I'm not selling anything in my content. Well, content does a lot. It creates credibility. So let's say, for instance, if I have a very high ticket product and I'm selling something for like $2,000 and you've never heard of me, but my sales letter was good and it kind of got you on the fence of thinking like, man, I really would like to buy this guy's traffic course, but man, I just don't know if all his claims are true. Of course, if you start Googling my products or services and you find absolutely nothing, you know what I mean? It may deter you from actually making that purchase. So I would say content is important for credibility. Two, content is a giant filter. It's a filter for people to be able to take a soft action. And you should always be asking your audience to take an action, no matter what kind of content you're producing. And it doesn't have to be a sell action. It could be any action. Like this video, share this video, tag a
Right.
friend, put your email in here, comment 1, 2, or 3 if you like the color blue. Whatever
Exactly.
the case may be, you need to get your audience equipped to take an action. So content, there's so many reasons why content is important, but I would say the main reason why content is important because it establishes a credibility and it establishes a relationship and it
Right.
establishes a filter that allows some people to come in, but the people who actually consume that content will be interested. Unlike a sales letter, most people won't share your ads unless it's like a
Mm-hmm.
really good ad. Me and Steve ran an ad together and it got like a ton of shares, but that's because it was a personal story of mine of having a heart attack when I was 31. So a lot of people were kind of alarmed by that, so they shared it. But for the most part, you won't get that experience out of your ads. You'll get people maybe liking them, but actually sharing them to their timeline and getting them out there to their friends, where a bunch of people are going to find your ad organically. It's pretty much unheard of. You know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong. I mean, there are times you can run a great ad and people can find it organically, but ads only really last for the duration of the time that you're dumping money into it. The minute you stop dumping money into it, your ad pretty much dies out. But your organic material, your content that you put out, that stuff is up there forever. Steve, I don't know if you remember a post that I shared with you on my health and wellness page that I had, where
Right.
150 or 60,000 people went
Right.
crazy over this one post that I had posted maybe 2 or 3 years prior. And all of a sudden, people start finding this post because of the SEO titles that were on there. Okay. People
Right.
started finding this post on Facebook. They were sharing it like crazy. And then they started liking the page. I got over 800 free likes on this page that I was able to run ads and additional content to a bunch of people that were already interested. I didn't really have to pay to find out whether or not if they were interested. And that's where most marketers are going wrong, especially in this overly crowded market, especially if you're in the make money online space. It's so crowded that
Right.
a lot of people are paying just to see who's interested. And you really don't need to do that to the level in which you guys may be doing it or what you've been taught in the past. I totally disagree now with a lot of the gurus that you have out there that are telling you to run ads to a landing page that is directly selling somebody something. That's not working as well as it once was before. What are your thoughts on that, Steve?
Yeah. Customers are a lot more savvy when it comes to the internet, right? So when the internet first came out, there was really no precedent, right? So people didn't really know what to expect. So to give you an example, maybe in 2015, if you would run a webinar, right? So if you're running a webinar and you say, okay, well, I'm going to invite you on this webinar, right? And on this webinar, I'm going to give you some free information, right? And the person will enter into that webinar with the purposes of just learning, right? Not knowing that there will be any type of offer at the end of the webinar or something that will be sold at the end of the webinar. So the barrier to entry was a lot easier then because people hadn't been on 150 webinars before. You understand? So now people are used to it. They're in the habit of getting on these things. So in order to get someone to take their time out to stop to do something like that, you're going to have to give them some type of value, right? So you have to come up with something that answers that question. Okay, what's in this for me? Why should I watch this content? Why should I read this article? Why should I go to your website? They're not going to go to your website because it looks good, right? It looks pretty good. It seems like it should have something. Your copy is going to be very important. How you position yourself is going to be very important. But again, what you're offering on the front end has to be important. So to give you an example of that, if I'm a service-based business owner, okay, And let's say my niche is I am a financial advisor, right? Let's just say I'm a financial advisor. So if I want somebody to jump on a webinar to possibly, you know, book a package with me where I can consult them from point A to Z, I have to give them something on the front end that's going to say, hey, you know what? This guy knows what he's talking about. So I may say something like, hey, here's 3 ways, here's 3 things you can do right now to, you know, help you to save % more of your salary per year, right? I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. You can watch it on my screen. We'll walk through it together. So that's something that somebody can say, okay, hey, well, look, even if I decide not to buy this, I can still jump on this webinar and get some value. So the value piece of it is a lot more important now because you have a lot of, like you said, a lot of competition. So you have to offer something of value first in order for you to offer whatever that full service is. So does that make sense, Rich?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, see, it really goes back to the study of the Dunbar numbers. Well, there's an experiment that this guy Dunbar did to see how many relationships that an average person can maintain at one time. And I don't mean like deep relationships, like as far as like, you know, boyfriend, girlfriend type stuff, you know, how many girlfriends you can have or something like that. But relationships, period. That was work relationships. That was, you know, people that you speak with on, you know, the telephone, people that you run into at, you know, your local bar or whatever the case may be, your barbershop friends, all of that stuff like that. Well, it was determined that a person can only really maintain effectively 100 to 150 relationships. That number may sound like a lot when you look at it like person to person, but when you look at it as the internet, the email marketing, all of the gurus they're in contact with, all of the people that they interact with on Facebook, their work, their spouse, their kids, their, you know, family, mother-in-law, all those things like that. All these things are taking precedence in their life. So if you're not actually in there, they won't remember you and they won't really interact with you. And that's where the sleazy salesman comes in that. And most of us just don't have that in us. You know what I mean? If you really think about it, you don't want to be out here, you know, tricking people to buy something that, you know, seems like one thing, but then when they get in it, it's complete crap. Most of us don't want to be known for that. I know I don't. I know Steve don't. Like, I enjoy putting out value. I enjoy when people come to me with their testimonies saying like, hey, look, I really got a lot of value. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have this, or thank you for this, or thank you for that. I don't want a bunch of hate mail and stuff like that. I want to actually provide value. So I try and make sure that I'm in that 100. And that's what content does. Content allows you to stay in front of them, because if you're not in front of them, they will forget you and quickly. Okay. And one of the things about content, what a lot of people don't understand is when we run sales funnels, we have what we call, you know, one step and then the next step and then the next step and then the next step. So for example, if I am giving away a lead magnet, let's say for instance about how to dominate a Facebook group or something like that. Okay. If I'm doing that, basically what's going to happen is someone's going to opt in for it, right? So the first step of that funnel would be for me to target an audience. Then they'll opt in for that. So they'll give me their email address. And then there's another step, which is I'm going to try and sell them something, which is like, you know, let's say for instance, like a tripwire, which 20 of my best practices to run a perfect Facebook ad or something like that. And that might be like a $7 tripwire. And on that page may have an order bump that will say, hey, if you want to have the perfect landing page to go in addition with those ads, you know, another $30. And then if they take that, on the next step, I might offer them something for $197. Okay. Everybody knows that we do this when it comes down to steps, but most people don't put their content in the steps. The number one tip that I can give you with content is simply knowing what is the next step. So if I write an article about how to blog better, what action should the reader take?
Right.
Next, where are we going with this? And everything that you do should be the next step to the next step to the next step. We can no longer just rely on a sales page and the funnel to take them through that simple process that I just told you about, a lead magnet tripwire, then, a order bump, and then, maybe a core offer. We actually need to take our advertisement and break it up into a funnel. How are we going to filter out the people that are not interested and then retarget the people who are interested? How are we going to take the people who are interested, feed them content, and bring them up to the tripwire and then up to the lead magnet or whatever the case may be, so that we may segment? Because right now, marketing is going to be about relevant. It's about relevant. How relevant is your ad to the end user? And that may take you a little bit of time to figure out if you're doing it the right way. And that way is using content, because content can be discovered, which if you're using an like a platform like Pinterest, I have a Pinterest account and I get thousands of views on my articles all the time. And this helps me to retarget people who have already raised their hand without me actually paying for these people to actually come to my website, and I can still retarget them.
Now let's talk about a few things too, just to kind of give people, some examples here. But let's talk about some case studies of what works. So I'll kind of begin and to give you an example of a technique that I've used in the past. Is, if there's a product, for example, that I feel is a good product and I vouch for, and I want to become an affiliate for that product, then what I've done in the past is either review it or tour the product, give a demonstration where you can actually see that product. I've seen that I've purchased the product. You've seen that how I've used the product and what I think of the product. Now, that's even more powerful if I am an expert in the niche that product is in. So in other words, if I'm reviewing a software that allows you to build your website faster, right? Now, obviously that's relevant to what I do, relevant to my company. So I can speak to that. I can give a lot of value about, hey, here's how you can utilize this. Here's what you should already be doing already. Here's how this product could fit right into the strategy that I think works. So that gives a lot of context around what the product is. And that allows me to drive traffic to the people who would not only purchase the product, but who would purchase it and be excited about it, right? So that allows me to build content and not only just drive, revenue by promoting a product, but also my own personal expertise in that area. So that's just one case study. You can do that through YouTube videos. Now you can do that with your own business as well by talking around scenarios where you could find it helpful for people. So if you were, if you were into fitness, talk around a specific scenario that's in your target customers. How can I say this? Like their field of view. So in other words, if you're promoting weight loss or you're a fitness trainer, talk about how to overcome one of the challenges of someone who's trying to lose 25 pounds. So you want to release content on that. Say, hey, here's one thing you can do. Here's one thing I've done in the past that I know for sure works to help you lose weight. So even if you don't get anything, if you don't buy anything, you apply this. This is going to help you lose weight. Now, let's just say that one thing allows someone to lose 4 pounds. Well, when it works, they're going to go back to this person and say, man, this stuff really worked. Like, what else can I do to get to 10 pounds, to 15 pounds, right? So, if somebody's asking me, hey, Steve, I'm trying to, build my business, market my business or whatever. And I say, well, here's one or two things you can do right now that'll help you. And I'm giving them that, and I'm telling you something that I've done where that's been successful versus me just saying, well, you can go get this product or you can go get this service and you can do it, right? And that person, it becomes a difficult sell because the person says, well, how do I know that anything that you're saying will work? You know what I mean? So that's a case study in me, like using videos to show your expertise. I've used that before to generate, thousands of dollars just doing it. pause it, do it, you know, pause it, apply, pause it, apply, and you're learning. So if they feel comfortable actually getting a full course on how to set up specific things, they don't go there wondering what the experience is going to be like, because they've already had the experience, you know. And especially if you're coaching or if you're doing something that's face to face, you know, where you're dealing with that person one-on-one, that's something that you want to really put some content out so people will kind of know what to expect, you know. What are your thoughts on that, or what are some successes you've had kind of using something similar?
Absolutely. So, basically, all the case studies that I have, I always make customer avatars out of them because it helps to kind of narrow down on things that you couldn't really make up. Okay, so if you don't have any results, you haven't really done anything, then you won't have the advantage of having a case study. But case studies are always powerful. That's why I suggest, even if you gotta get out there, do something half price, do something for free, just to get those wins. Because when you have wins and you're able to say, hey, okay, look, this is what I've been able to do for this restaurant owner. When I first started marketing, and I still have the videos on YouTube when I was getting local clients, where I was going out there filming their videos because I knew what needed to be in the video as a marketer, and how I would market this. So I would go out there and I would film videos of these restaurants, car washes, chiropractors, just all these different occupations. I would film the video, and then I would take that video, and then I would market it for them. And once I got those wins, it was so much easier to get the next customer, because I was able to say, hey, here's what this person was struggling with. Here's what they wasn't able to do. And here's what they're able to do now. Okay. So that's pretty much what all stories kind of start out with, is where you were to where you went to, or where you went to where you were, because people want to know, how is it going to change their life at the end of the day? And case studies are what really help you sell that aspect. So anytime that you can think of a case study, just think of it like this. Okay. If you have a course that you teach, there's always going to be an A to B. You know what I'm saying? So there'll be an A to B that you'll see. And everything in between is things that your course should cover, and everything in between those in between should be the content. So let's say, for instance, I remember when I first started, I didn't know how to upload PDFs so that I could actually send out my lead magnets. You know what I'm saying? But that was something that I was able to just kind of learn from someone that put out content. You know what I mean? And they were like, oh, yeah, guys, so, if you're putting together a course and you're not sure how to, get your lead magnets uploaded, blah, 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 blah. And if I want more information about putting out a course, it's very likely that I'm going to go with this person who has done it, that is showing me a case study, who is presenting the content in a way that I can consume it at the level that I need it consumed by. And that's what case studies do. They kind of help you have your story relate to other people and how they can see themselves within your case study. So anytime I get ready to work with a local business, and let's say, for instance, it's a restaurant, I can say, oh yeah, it's like that guy he was a soul food restaurant in an area that wasn't really conducive to soul food, but people loved his restaurant. They just didn't know it was there. So when you find other people that are in that situation, it's very easy to sell them on that. So case studies and what works is definitely something that you're going to want to take and break down, and you're going to want to make sure that you're making customer avatars. So that way, when you are creating content, your content should always have a purpose. It should. There should never be a piece of useless content that you're creating just to be on the internet, because that doesn't work. Again, like I said in the first point that we were talking about, there should always be a next step. They should always know exactly what to do next. So if I wrote an article about, 4 tips on how to set up your blog, my next tip should be how to create the content. And that's where I should be leading you to next. You see what I'm saying? So if I say, hey, you got to make sure you have a sitemap, you got to make sure that you have a homepage and, a banner up top and everything like that. And those are my 4 tips. My next thing, and I should be telling, okay, what to do next after you do those 4 steps. You need to come over here and do this. Everything you do should be taking your potential client or customer by the hand, walking them through the exact process that they need to follow, and keep them engaged within your content. All right. And again,
Exactly.
never be afraid to ask for actions. I'm about to ask you to take one now. If you can hear us, you know what I'm saying? Or if you're catching this on the replay, put replay in the chat box, because making people take actions is a great way to get them to engage. And the more they engage, the more you're going to be within those 100 to 150 relationships that we talked about. Okay. Because if it's the one-sided conversation all the time, a lot of times people are not really paying that much attention to what you're saying. You're just not that important. Neither am I, neither is Steve. No one is. You know what I'm saying?
So yeah, I mean that's great. That's great advice. We got about 25 minutes here worth of really good content. So I would say, you know, for actionable items that you can take from this, take a look at your social media. Not just in terms of how much content, but what message does it convey on Facebook, on LinkedIn? What does it say about the customers that you or clients that you're trying to attract? Consider that, and then take out a piece of paper and just write down topics that your ideal customer or client wants to know, answers, to common things that they want to know, and just research. You can go to Google and research this, and you'll see articles related to it. And those articles will have gems there, will tell you that, hey, this is what people are looking for. If they want life insurance, if they want home insurance, if they want, an accountant, a tax accountant, an author, what in this niche, these are what people are concerned about. So take the time to
answer the public. Answer the public. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but Answer the Public is a great site to find out. It's kind of a site that talks about what people are typing in on Google as far as questions, and you'll get it's a complete gold mine of questions that people are actually typing in on Google. These are the queries that people want to know about. Answer the Public is a great resource.
Yes. So Answer the Public. You can also use Google Trends. It's another free resource, and go look and see what people are already asking for, because those are going to be your easier sales, easier clients to get when you answer the questions that they're already looking for. Okay. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you found it informative. You can always leave questions in the comment or just reach out to me. Whether you're in the group, Online Revenue Mastery group, or you're watching us on any other platform, put your questions below. Share the video out. Some good value here. And Rich, definitely thanks for your time. I know your time is definitely money. But I appreciate you jumping on here and speaking about this. So just keep a lookout, guys. I'll be dropping some more videos like this to kind of get some things in, put some things on the top of your mind that you can do actively, whether or not you're going through the course or you're just browsing online. That's going to amplify your marketing efforts with your business. Okay, so hope you guys enjoyed this. Again, this is Steve Dansby. I got Rich Collier jumping on with me tonight. And have a great night. I hope you guys had a great holiday.
All right, happy holidays, guys.